Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. So today I want to talk about 6 months of motherhood. I can't believe we've got to the 6 month mark. It's gone by so quickly, and I wanted to kind of document it by talking about kind of my side of it. Obviously normally with baby updates I just talk about the baby. Apart from my 6 month update, I did go into myself a little bit more. Hey sausage. Yeah, I did go into myself a little bit more, but I just kind of wanted to give, like, you know, talk about motherhood more than the baby side of things. Obviously I'll talk about him too, but just I want to talk about how things have changed, how life's changed, how we've coped with it, whether it was what I expected. Let me just grab him. Yeah, and just whether it's been easier, harder than I thought it was going to be, and yeah, just whether it was what I expected. Normally with videos I will type them out as a blog post first, so I can have a rough idea of what I am kind of going to say on a video, but I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to kind of just wing this one and see how we get on, and then type up the blog post later. So I'll link the blog post down below, so if there's anything I missed out it will probably be in there, but we're just going to wing it a little bit. So this video might be a bit random, but we'll just go with it. So I'm going to talk about like things and segments of where life has changed the most since having a baby. There's no order to them, they're just kind of as I wrote them down. So the first thing is obviously the motherhood as a thing. I knew I would enjoy being a mum, but I didn't know I would love it as much as I do. Yeah, I just had no idea it would be as amazing as, like, obviously I think you know it's amazing, but what are you doing? But not as amazing as it is. There was nothing that could prepare me for how much I love. What are you doing? There's nothing that can prepare me for being for as much as I love being a mum. I absolutely adore it, and there's lots of different aspects to it that I didn't know existed. I thought that the kind of main amazing thing was your love for your baby, but there's so much more to it than that. I didn't realise that when you have a baby, the second you leave hospital, it's like you're kind of written into this club, like the motherhood, and you just feel like you've, I don't know, you just feel like this kind of, this is just for me and it might not be for everybody, but for me I just felt like this superwoman. Like, I know that sounds really vain, but I just felt like, you know, I've just carried this baby, I've made him from scratch, I've made him healthy and safe, I've delivered him, and now I'm coping with him. You know, when you're postpartum, that's quite a hard thing to do. Suddenly have a newborn plonked on you, which is like a whole different ball game, and I just felt like this amazing woman. I felt like I had so much more respect for other mums and just women. You know, when people say like women are amazing, I used to always be like, oh yeah, but guys are good too, but now I'm like, oh, I just felt mind blown by women in general, and just, I don't know how we, like, all parents in general are superheroes, but just I just felt amazed by my body basically, and the fact that we'd gone through this whole process and done it successfully, or as successfully as we could. Yeah, I just felt completely mind blown. I felt like, I don't know, being a mum, I had so much more confidence, so much more like life clarity. I just felt complete, and I don't know, I watched this Russell Kane sketch the other day where it was like, the most offensive thing you can say to a man is like, I didn't know what happiness was before I had a baby. But it kind of is true, but not in the sense that like Rich didn't make me happy, because he obviously did, but he makes me more happy now that he's my child's father. You know, I love seeing him as a dad, and I love seeing him with Rory, and I don't know, Rory just gave me this completeness. Like, he built me a family, like, you know, Rory made us a family, and he made, I don't know, it's hard, it was so hard to describe it. He just gave, it was like, there was this piece of me that was missing, that I didn't know it was missing, and then I had a Rory, and then I was whole. Like, you just feel, I feel so content now I have a baby. I absolutely love it. Like, they were just, I don't know, I feel emotional the more I talk and think about him. I don't know, obviously I love him, but I just love being a mum too. I love having that, I don't know, I have a purpose, I know what I'm here to do, and it's weird as well, like, there's different aspects. Let me just feed him. There's different aspects, so like, hang on a second. It sounds really stupid, but I remember when I was postpartum, I got quite poorly, and there was talks about me going back into hospital and stuff, and I had a bit of a heart murmur, which was nothing, but they made it sound worse than it was. And I remember thinking, like, nothing can happen to me because I have Rory. Like, as a mum, you suddenly have this, I don't know, you've got dependence. Your life is more important. You want to be a better person. You want to eat better, live a better life just for your child, really. You know, I want to work hard for him. Everything now is for Rory, basically. Yeah, I just have this complete contentness, and I just feel so much, I don't know, just a purpose. So the next segment is, how do I feel about my body? When I was pregnant, I don't know, I've never really been that fussed about my body unless there's an issue. So when I've put on weight, obviously, like before I was pregnant, I would feel self-conscious. But I've never really, I don't know, I've never really been that in tune with my body, or like that concerned. So when I was pregnant and people would ask about like losing the baby weight and stuff, I didn't really think about whether I would, I guess I wanted to assess how I would look after having the baby. I remember going clothes shopping with mum, and she didn't really want to buy me anything because, that sounds really spoiled, she wouldn't buy me anything, but she was kind of saying, let's not buy anything because you're pregnant and you don't know how you're going to look or what size you're going to be once you've delivered the baby. And I remember, like, I don't know, I just hadn't really thought about it because obviously when you're pregnant, I don't know, I was pregnant, so I had enough to think about, I guess, in my head. And I've just never really been that concerned about things like that. Like, when I have put on weight, I don't like it, but I don't know, I'm quite slack with stuff like that, I guess. And I've never really been concerned about what I eat or anything like that. So I hadn't really thought about how I'd feel about my body after baby, and I hadn't really thought about my concerns over whether I would ping back or not. I was lazy when I was pregnant about doing anything stretch mark preventative until I got some very late on in my pregnancy. I was on maternity leave for about 37 weeks, so I noticed I had some, and then I was kind of a bit like, oh, should I have worried about that a bit more, but I hadn't, so it was too late. And yeah, I've just kind of abused my body basically and just ate what I want and stuff, and not really ever been concerned. And I'm like that with everybody. Like, somebody, you know, when people like Cassie and they're like, oh, you notice how much weight she's put on, I would never notice that. I'm just not very observant. I'd never ever notice anything like that. I'm really not observant with weight gain or weight loss or anything like that. So I'm not that good with body shapes and sizes, so I never really thought about it. And then I guess it crossed my mind a couple of times that my body might not ping back after the baby. I thought I'd just deal with that as and when it came, and I just never really worried, so it wasn't big on my agenda. And then I remember I had my cesarean, and it must have been maybe a week after I'd had it, like when I was a bit more stronger. And I remember like standing and looking in the mirror, and I had, you know, I was still wearing maternity pads and breast pads, and I still had, you know, your belly's very much saggy after labour no matter how you've given birth. And when I first had my cesarean, my legs were really swollen because I'd been on a drip, and I just really held on to that water, and that's what the concern was over my health afterwards. And I remember looking in the mirror and just thinking, oh God, like, and just thinking like, that is just a car crash, and just feeling so sorry for my little body. And it just looked like I had been in a car accident. You know, I had my scar, my whole belly was bruised because of the cesarean, my boobs were like the size of like my head, just full of milk that was leaking everywhere. It was disgusting. I hated the milk thing, and just waking up in a constant pile of sweat and leaked milk, and oh God, I hated that so much. And just do like, my boobs have been leaking since I was about 20 weeks pregnant, so I was just pretty done with that. And then obviously the postpartum bleeding, mine went on for like 6 weeks. So again, I was getting like a rash, not a rash from the pads, but I was getting sore because they'd been there for so long. And yeah, I just felt so crap and just hideous, like. And I think that's kind of when I was like, I think, you know, when Rich went back to work, about 2 weeks afterwards, I was quite quick to start looking after myself again. So just making sure when I woke up in the morning that I put on a little bit of makeup and hair, I did my hair, or brushed it at least. And I've always been quite quick with that since having a baby. Like, I will make sure that most days, pretty much I think it's like 99% of the time, I'll make sure I wear makeup, just because it makes me feel like I don't know, I've got up and I've got ready, and I've got, I don't know, for me it's just, and that's another thing as well. Before I had a baby, I was never really that asked about how I looked. Always when I was younger, like 18, when you know, when you were like really into your looks and stuff, but for a long time I've not been that bothered. You know, I don't know, I'm not very good with makeup and stuff, but yeah, it's been quite important to me since having a baby to just have that step of getting ready and doing something for myself, I guess. So yeah, I started to look after myself a little bit when Rachel went to work, and started going out every day for a walk, just because it was just me and him then, so I just wanted to make sure that we got out and did things. And all of a sudden, when the water weight went down, so all my legs and stuff and the puffiness, which I'd lost just through like drinking lots, sleeping with my legs elevated and sweating all night basically, all of a sudden I was literally like a beanpole, like, oh thank you. I'd lost so much weight, it was ridiculous, and I'd gone from being like a size 10 to 12 to a 6, and that was a really, and obviously I've been pregnant for 9 months, so I was used to being bigger, and that was just such a shock to go from being, you know, quite big and pregnant to a size 6. And that sounds, I hate saying it and talking about it, because to some people it must sound like a dream come true and I sound like I'm just whinging, but it is quite weird when you suddenly look at a body and it's not what you know. I've always been used to dressing like a curvy figure and like an hourglass, so you know, like nicer tops for bigger boobs and things that show off my hips, so like lots of pencil skirts and stuff. So suddenly all of my clothes didn't fit and they hung off me really badly, and I just felt a bit like laundry. Like every time I go out, I'd, like my leggings, you know when you have like really baggy leggings and you just look a bit shit, I'd look like that and I just look like this big scaggy mum. That's how I felt. So I kind of have started to repurchase clothes in a size 6, which is also a really weird thing to do, because I don't think I've ever been a size 6 in my whole entire life, maybe when I was 4 years old, but not for a long time. And it does sound like I'm whinging for the sake of it, but it's weird. Like I look in the mirror and it's not my body, and I don't have time. I think when you don't have a baby, you've got a lot more time to be concerned about your vanity. And I would know my body, and I would look at my body, and I would accept, I know how to dress my body and things that would suit me. And now I look at it and I think, I don't even know what to put on you. Like it's not, I don't have time to take that in because I've got other things to worry about. But I'll get undressed at night and I can see my ribs and I just think, who are you? Like, I don't know. And I've got a thigh gap and I think, where the hell did you... I used to I don't know, I used to have a thing about thigh gaps, not liking them. And all of a sudden I was like looking, and I was making a bottle the other day with a prep machine, and I saw my thighs in the oven because it's lower, and there was a gap between them, and I was like, this isn't, it just doesn't feel like my frame. And it does sound like I'm whinging for the sake of it, which is fine. I am, I guess, but not for the sake of it, but it's my concern, I guess. I don't know, it's so hard to describe without sounding stupid, but I do feel weird, and I just need to accept that this is how I look now, I guess. But it is weird. So I assume that I lost quite a lot of weight when I was pregnant, because when I was pregnant with Rory I only put on a stone and I remained pretty much all baby, so I think I just must have lost a lot of weight when I was pregnant with him. So yeah, so that's how I feel. I do have stretch marks, which I'm fine about. I still have the linea nigra mark from when I was pregnant, which I don't really like, but it's there and there's something I can do about it. My belly is still very much like a let off airbag from having him, and when I lean forward too much it just looks like a turkey neck. And that is quite weird, but I'm kind of okay about it because it delivered a baby and that's fine, and that's what it did. But it has shrunk back to the normal size. It's just like jelly now basically. But I remember like when I was saying about looking in the mirror, like your belly's still very much like the skin is stretched to your baby's bump size, but there's no baby in it, so you're just like, I don't know, just it's like you're holding a bag in front of you. It's so weird. Postpartum body wise, my cesareans, oh, and also my bum is so saggy and my boobs are non-existent. I used to have like alright boobs, and now they're like little bee stings. I didn't even breastfeed him, so I don't know what happened there. But I think for anyone that says like breastfeeding causes saggy boobs, I think pregnancy just will mess with your boobs enough. So I think breastfeed away if that's your concern, because that's ridiculous. I think if they're gonna get battered, pregnancy's gonna do it anyway. Cesarean scar wise, that still hurts and is sore, but it's neat enough and it's okay. Mentally, I'm okay about things like cesareans. I'll go on, no, I'll do a mental section anyway. Next section is how do I feel about my baby? So I pretty much covered off how I feel about him as a general person. Obviously I'm obsessed with him and I love him so much, but I wanted to talk about things that were easier and harder than I thought. So now he's 6 months old, I just don't really know any different, so it's kind of hard to gauge certain things, but yeah, I just don't know any different. So I remember when I first had him though, I saw my friend who was pregnant, so she was about 20 weeks behind me. So I'd had him, she was 20 weeks, so yeah, she's now had her baby and he's, you know, so yeah, so I must have just had him basically. And she was with a bloke, and I think they mentioned like, is it difficult? And I was like, it's so much easier than people make out. And I remember thinking that when I first had Rory, that there were things, I think I'd set myself up for much worse, and it was a lot easier than I was expecting. I think when you are pregnant, people talk about how life's over and you can't do anything and this and the other, and it's not like that at all. It's just a different life. You obviously have restrictions and limits, but you just accept those restrictions and limits, and you do new things. What are you doing? And you do new things, and you want to do those things, you enjoy it. Like I remember when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, I'm never going to just buy baby clothes and not buy myself something nice. But when you have a baby, you just want to buy baby clothes. Like you don't care about your clothes anymore, you just want your baby to have nice clothes. And that's not something that's miserable. You're not like, oh, I don't have the money, so I just buy my baby clothes. You now get enjoyment out of buying your baby nice things as opposed to buying yourself nice things. So stuff like that is much easier. And I think when you don't have that attachment to your baby, you just hear about these things and think like, oh, they take all your money. But they don't take all your money because they have to. They take all your money because that's what you want to do. Like you want to start buying them nice things. And yeah, like I'll see like a really nice, like the other day I was in Tesco's and saw a really nice blanket. I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that because he'd look so cute with it, or it's really soft so he'd love it. He doesn't need another blanket, I'm just buying it for the sake, you know what I mean? Like you want your baby to have the best, and that's lovely. When it comes to doing things, obviously you can't just like drop of the hat go to the cinema anymore, but you also at the same time don't want to. Like I want to spend my time with my baby. I don't really want to go out and do things that we can't do as a family. Obviously it's important to still have date nights and date times, which we do, but when it comes to like going out, I want to go to places that we can go as a family and spend time as a family. So that restriction also doesn't really exist. You just don't feel that way once you have your baby. Things that are harder that I was not expecting are your baby is clingy. I think when you're pregnant, people always tell you how much newborns sleep and how much they rest, and I used to think like, what do people do all day if the newborn sleeps all day? And I did have that set up in my head of maternity leave, of going to coffee with my friends, getting my nails done, getting my hair done with my sleeping newborn. From about 3 weeks, Rory doesn't sleep. Like he he sleeps in the day, but for like 20 minutes, and it has to be, hang on a second. It has to be either being held, being in the car, or being in a pram. So that instantly puts restrictions on your nail painting and your coffee and stuff like that. So yeah, it was much harder, and there are times where I really struggle with that change. Nobody can prepare you for feeling touched out. And I use that term from, I think it's like Toby and Rue that wrote the blog post saying that she's touched out, and you do feel that way. Sometimes Rich will want affection and a cuddle, and when you're pulling my hair, mate, when you've had a baby attached to your hip all day, I just want my personal space, and I don't think anyone can prepare you for that odd change where you don't want to be touched anymore, because you've literally had somebody, look, he's like, you know, he's touching me now, he's constantly touching me, which is fine because he's my baby and that offers him comfort. When he's in bed and away, I just want personal space back, and I think that's a really odd thing to go through. And yeah, just having somebody constantly attached to you at all times is really hard. There are definitely times where it's more difficult than others. Sometimes you just accept it and you get on with it and you think, I'm not going to do anything because he's not going to allow me to do it, and you're okay with that. There are other days where like I'll feel really motivated and I'm like, right, we're gonna clean the stairs and tidy upstairs, and I'm gonna polish and throw X amount out and go through my wardrobe, and I'll feel really motivated, and Rory will be like, you're not doing that at all. which is really hard and quite an adjustment, because you just kind of want them to sit and be quiet really when they don't want to, and no one, like, I don't know, you can't expect them to. I think, oh, let's sit you up. The main thing is just to, I don't know, ditch the to-do list. I think when you decide in your head that you're going to do all these things and you don't get them done, you then feel really defeated, and you should kind of think like, today all I'm going to do is keep this baby alive and happy. Anything else that happens above that is brilliant. So if I manage to tidy the house or whatever, then great. But I do think initially when you have your baby, and especially if you're on maternity leave, you want to be superwoman, and you want to be able to look after your baby, have a well-dressed baby, a well-kept house, dinner on the table, and you're not going to be able to do that. Like, babies take up way more energy and way more time than you can ever imagine, and it's insane how much they take up for such a small person with very little needs. But they do take up a lot of time and attention, and also they need attention. They're babies, you know. When I go back to work, I'll remember all the little moments that we had, not the clean dishes. So you kind of have to prioritise a little bit and realise what's important. So yeah, that's how I feel about me. What else do I find easier and harder than I expected? See, I thought I would find, like, I think people will set you up for the sleep deprivation being really hard. That for me, it's never really been that bad. I remember the first 3 weeks when I realised that he wanted to co-sleep, and we would just literally stay awake all night. It was insane. Like, he would, yeah, we'd be awake all night, and it would be because I was constantly trying to get him in his Moses basket or his next to me crib, and he just wanted to be as close to me as possible. And I didn't realise that that's what he wanted. I thought his body clock was messed up. That was really hard, but I think that was more hard because I was dealing with labour recovery as well, so my body needed rest to recover, and I wasn't getting it because obviously I had a newborn. But generally the sleep deprivation, you know, he's 6 months now, he rarely sleeps through the night. He does do it, but he mostly wakes up at least once for a feed. So, you know, that's 6 months of broken sleep. Some nights are way worse than that. Some nights will be up 2-3 times. He wakes up early in the morning. He's only just had his own set bedtime for the last probably 10 to 12 days. So it was a lot of time spent with him. And yeah, the sleep deprivation, you just get on with it. Like, it's mad. Like, you just become like this superhuman being that just manages to deal with very little sleep. Let me put you on your back there, you can practice your rolling. Seeing as you're going to be a fidget, yeah, you just deal with very little sleep and you're fine about that. What else do people set you up for? Yeah, sleep deprivation is way easier than people make out. I think the clinginess is hard, and I think the clinginess is hard because no one talks about it. It's hard because no one tells you about it. Like, no one pre-warns you that babies are as clingy as they are, because I think people forget, like, really quickly, but babies are super clingy, and they kind of have every right to be. Like, well, they've obviously been inside of you for 9 months, and then they come out and they're expected to be on their own. And it's a scary, scary, scary world when all you've known is darkness and heartbeats for 9 months. So yeah, they have every right to be. And I think when you take a step back and put yourself in their shoes, it's fair that they are clingy and all they want is you. Because yeah, they don't even realise you're separate people. They don't realise that you're meant to be detached. They think they're meant to be a part of you. So once you kind of get over that, it's fine. But if you're prepared for it and you know that babies are clingy, it's okay. There's lots of ways around it. So you can do baby wearing, swaddling's a good one. Just basically mimic the womb as much as you can, but baby wearing is a lifesaver. Once I realised baby wearing was a thing, we were fine. What else is harder? There are days where, like, I just don't want to be, I don't want to mum anymore. So when Rich gets through the door, I want him to take Rory, and I want to do normal things like load the dishwasher, make a cup of tea, make dinner, and just, I think that's the touched out thing again though. I just want to have time where I'm not attached to a baby, and that's nothing personal to anybody else. That's just me simply wanting that kind of catch up time with myself. And yeah, I think as long as you have that, it's okay. Another thing that is difficult about, the one thing I would say I did not expect is the snap moments you have for your baby, where you just feel like, I'm gonna snap, and that's quite, you feel so guilty all the time for that. Like, I don't know, like I'm quite good with the tears, so I thought I'd find the tears hard. So like if they're in a really big crying fit, that's where I thought I'd really struggle. But Rory's not a huge crier, he's more of like a whinger. But when he's overtired, it literally drives me mad. Like I can't stand it when he's overtired, and he'll just make noise, like, I don't know, fight sleep so badly, and it's so frustrating. And those are my snap moments. I have to just put him down and be like, I'm gonna snap at you in a minute if you don't just comprehend what we're doing. So that I do find difficult, and I wasn't expecting that actually. Next thing I want to talk about is relationships. I'm going to try and speed things up because this video is getting so long. Relationships, so I'm going to talk about like all relationships, so Rich, friends, mum and dad, that kind of thing. So my relationship with Rich has completely changed. Nobody could set me up for that, and I really wasn't expecting that. I thought me and Rich would be fine. We've definitely had our moments since having Rory, which I won't go into too much because I guess it's personal to him too. But yeah, your relationship is tested so badly. We've definitely been on the cusp of hating each other multiple times, and nobody could, I just was not expecting that at all. It's very easy to very quickly pull apart when you have a baby. It's a very stressful scenario, like situation, and you just want to hate each other basically. So you want to snipe at each other. You know, he goes to work and has a break in my eyes, and I stay at home all day with a baby in his eyes. You know, I'll be there taking nice pictures and putting them on Instagram, and that's what he sees that I'm doing. He doesn't see the baby meltdowns that I'm having. And you know, he'll go to work and I'm like, you're having a break. Whilst actually when I worked, I was also really tired then too. So you know, you very quickly enter like this battlefield, and it's very hard to get out of. I would say 6 months later, we're fine. We've found our groove, we know what we're doing, and we're absolutely fine. There's definitely a different connection. I love Rich so much more now he's my baby's dad. I have so much more respect for him and really care about him as a person no matter what happens. And he also says that he feels more attracted to me since I've had a baby. That feels really big-headed to say, but that's what he told me to say. And yeah, you have more respect for each other. You really respect each other's parents. You love seeing each other as parents. But yeah, it does take a while to muddle through that kind of hard patch. And I think the main thing is that everybody else is going through it too. I think when you're doing it, you feel very much alone, like you're broken, you see all these flaws you didn't see beforehand, all these problems that probably didn't exist, but you think they did exist. And you think like, oh God, we should have added a baby into the mix. But everybody's doing it. Literally everybody is struggling in their relationship just as much as you are when you had a baby. You're gonna get through it, you're gonna be fine, it's fine. You're gonna hate each other for a bit, but it's fine. We are, yeah, we're now okay, and we're doing really well. But there's definitely a lot of working on it. Obviously when you're, like, we're married anyway, so there is a lot of working on things. It's very easy to get complacent when you get married and when you have a baby. It's very easy to start thinking like, well, I'm married to him now, so we can, you know, I'm not gonna try with him. And it's very easy to think, I have a baby with him now, so I'm not gonna try with him. But he still needs attention, he still needs to feel good, he still needs to feel part of the family, and it's really easy to neglect him for Rory. Obviously Rory, I'm not going to say is more important, but his needs are way more important because he can't do anything for himself. No, Rory is more important, let's say facts. But you kind of have to make time for each other too. So whether it's, you know, it took me a long time to accept that Rory should have his own bedtime routine, and Rich would kind of discuss it with me, and I was quite close-minded to it just because I didn't have the energy. I didn't think he'd sleep in his cot on his own, so it took me a while to accept that he might do. But because it was going to be like my struggle, like I would be the one going up and down to deal with him, I just couldn't be bothered with it. As it turns out, he does have a bedtime routine now. He thrives on having a bedtime routine, and I have like 7 till, well, whenever he wakes up, so around midnight for a feed. It's just time to myself and also time to spend with Rich. And I've made sure, like, so Friday nights now, it's no phones, no laptops, we just spend time together. So we'll watch like a box set or do something together basically, and that's helped us a lot and it's really easy just to neglect each other for the sake of the baby. But yeah, that's kind of our relationship as it stands. We're in a better place and really happy together. My relationship with my friends, so my pre-baby friends, I don't know, it's changed. I don't see as much of them. I haven't, like, there's not like that, like, there's no animosity there. I haven't fallen out with them. My best friend I've seen, I think, 3 times since I've had Rory. He's obviously 6 months, but we were like that anyway before. Like, we'd just catch up every like couple of months and you wouldn't know that we hadn't seen each other for months. So I don't feel like that's changed that much. I feel like she's really good at just adapting to me when I see her, so she'll just ask about him, she'll give him kisses, cuddles, you know, so that's fine. I just don't really speak to her, but I don't feel a loss there, if that makes sense. And then I have girls at work who I still speak to. Obviously the relationship is different because I don't see them every single day, but it's okay. Again, I feel like when I go back to work, nothing would have changed. I just feel like right now, this time isn't my time with them, if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel sad that I don't see them anymore. We're just on different places with them right now, and that's okay, and we'll get back to our places when the time comes, or, you know, one of them might have a baby soon. Also, a lot of my old friends who I didn't see as much, you know, when you grow apart from friendship groups, they've fallen pregnant now, have babies, and we've reconnected. So that's really nice because you've kind of taken a step back from some friends and you've gained different friends. And then obviously I have a huge online friendship group, which sounds really stupid and like makes me sound like I'm a sado, but they're amazing and really supportive, and I couldn't get through life every single day without them. So I've made those group of friends, and then you make new mum friends like through baby groups. And although I don't know, my baby group mum friends, I don't feel like I'm 100% myself with them. Like, I'm just the mum version of myself. Like, I wouldn't say things that I would say to Rich or my online friends or my old friends who know me. You know, I'm quite sarcastic and quite crass, and I wouldn't make those jokes in front of my mum friends because we're just not there yet. Like, I think when you make mum friends at baby groups, you start off in a very polite place where you kind of, I don't know, you're just very on guard. We're still very much there. Ow, she brought my hair. And that's, again, okay. Like, I'm not going to baby groups to make friends for life. I'm going to baby groups to make friends for me and my son at this point in our time, I guess. So yeah, if there was somebody I want to have a really honest conversation with, it would be my online community of friends who are mums. Yeah, which basically they're all bloggers and mums and stuff, but I think quite a few people that are mums like make friends on like Mumsnet and forums and stuff like that. So yeah, so I would say your friendship groups definitely change. I don't feel saddened by any of my changes. I feel like it's just part of life, really, and you know, if it's meant to be, we'll reconnect at some point. I kind of expected it to happen anyway. And I think once you're pregnant, when you're pregnant, everybody treats you like you're some kind of princess and you're very special. When you've got a newborn, everybody wants to see your newborn for a cuddle, and then they turn into this thing that dribbles all over you, and people just aren't as bothered anymore, and that's kind of okay. Yeah, that's kind of okay. And like I said, a lot of my older friends who I drifted apart from now have babies, so we've just kind of regrouped where we left off with our babies now, which is nice. My relationship with my parents is very different. Have you wet yourself? Or dribbled? My relationship with my parents is very different. I feel way closer to both my parents than I ever have done before. They're both amazing with Rory. I don't know, it's so weird. You go from being reliant on your parents to then, you know, I got married to Rich and stopped relying on my parents, and now I rely on my parents way more than I ever have done. I rely on my mum to help out with Rory, I rely on my dad to help out with just general life, like doing things around the house. They both buy Rory stuff, which is really helpful. yeah, and I don't know, I feel so much more respect for them because I know what they've been through, like to have me and my brother and what they've done and the sacrifices they've made, and you know, my mum carried, I don't know, I just feel so much more respect for my parents, and I just feel so much more appreciative for everything they've done for us. I think definitely seeing your parents as grandparents really kind of makes you feel, I don't know, a lot more connected to them. Seeing people love your child as much as you do is a really lovely feeling. Yeah, so much more respect for them, which again I don't think I was expecting. Again, I never really thought about it, so yeah, that's a really nice side note. What are you doing? You're such a cheeky face. One kind of thing I would say about parents though that I found hard is the way that you're, I don't know, with parenting, like with baby advice and stuff like that, and techniques, and the way things are done, it's changing a lot. So when my mum had me and my brother, there was no like baby led weaning. Weaning was done at 3 months or 4 months, I think. Lots of different things basically, and I find it really hard, that adjustment. So like I'll do baby led weaning with my mum and she can't stand it because she's like, you're too young, whilst that's kind of the guideline now of what you should do. So that's kind of a hard adjustment, and I think finding your feet as opposed to what your parents think can sometimes be hard. So like I've got a pretty good gauge on Rory's internal temperature and how he likes to feel, whilst my mum's very much like, babies get freezing cold and he used to have about 50 blankets on him. I think there's a really hard balance to strike, because I think parenting advice is hard to take anyway, and when it's coming from your parents you're going to feel like you should take it, but you also kind of want to find your own place. And that can be a really hard balance to strike. Yeah, the last thing I want to talk about was like mental well-being and mental well-being since having a baby. So nothing could have set me up for postpartum. Nothing in the world could have made me prepared for how shit I would feel after having a baby. I thought once you had your baby you'd have natural birth, a couple of days of feeling a little bit groggy, and then getting on with it. But having a cesarean, I think just for any labour you feel like you've been hit by at least 3 buses for a long time afterwards. Yeah, I was on my arse. Like I literally just, I don't know, some days I could hardly roll out of bed. It was such hard work, just even the weight of standing up. Hang on. What are you doing? Do you want some more bottle? Yeah, even the weight of standing up and trying to just stand some days would tip me over the edge. I felt so rubbish after having a labour. I felt awful for the way that my labour ended up going. I felt so guilty. I felt like I don't know, I just felt like I'd made so many bad choices during labour, having an epidural, staying in the bath for too long, slowing down my labour, that it all resulted in having a cesarean. I don't know if it did or not, but that's how I felt for a long time. So I was dealing with that and just feeling like I'd made some bad choices, and then the baby blues kick in just to really top everything off, and that's really hard. I remember feeling like I was unattractive to Rich. There were days where I would feel just really anxious and I would just want to take me and Rory and go and lock both of us up in a room and just shut everybody else out. And I think that's quite a normal feeling. Like obviously be careful like with obvious postnatal depression, but I think some postpartum anxiety is quite normal. I wasn't expecting that at all. I don't know, it would just be days where like we'd have visitors and I'd feel so overwhelmed. I just want to like take him and run away and just hide. Like I just couldn't deal with it. So I wasn't expecting that either. Mentally now, 6 months on, I feel quite, you know, okay about my cesarean. There are moments, so like my friend recently had a baby and she texted me and she was like, just a little gas and air, and most of me is really proud of her, and that's incredible, and I'm so happy she's had a nice labour. And then part of me is like, I so wish I could have just done it on gas and air, but things went down very differently for both of our labours. I was in labour for a really long time before I was allowed any form of pain relief, and had I been allowed it from earlier on, I think I probably would have coped better than being let to get to like 6-7 centimetres without it. So once they said that I could have something, I was like, you give me the best. I want it all. yeah, so part of me does still feel jealous of people that have really nice labours and have really positive stories to tell. But I am kind of starting to accept mine as a positive in the way that that's the way my son was delivered, and my son is delivered healthily, which I never thought I would get to. Is healthily even a word? Yeah, I never thought I'd get to that though, where I would feel good about things. I think accepting the fact that I will probably try for a VBAC for my next labour has definitely helped, because I just feel like I could have a chance of having a natural labour, whilst before I was kind of debating whether to have an elective section and stuff. What are you doing, you crazy old fool? You crazy old fool. You crazy old fool. Yeah, so before I thought that the hospital pushed you towards elective section, but actually they pushed you towards VBAC, so I felt better about that I would have the support to attempt a natural labour. Yeah, I feel like I'm rambling on with this video and I don't really know where the direction is, and I don't know, it's getting really long. And then yeah, the baby blues are just something else. But yeah, I feel much stronger, and like I said, I feel more confident now. I've got the whole labour and baby blues and all of that rubbish out of the way. I feel way more confident. I've just decided in my head I'm going to do a whole separate video on the labour recovery, like my traumatic experience and stuff, because I feel like it needs its own separate place. So those are my 6 months of motherhood and how I've been feeling, what I found the best and easiest, and this, that and the other. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a really long one and I wasn't expecting it to be that long, so hopefully it's all good. But if you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know how you found the first 6 months of motherhood, or how you're finding motherhood in general if you're not at 6 months yet, or yeah, or how you're feeling about motherhood if you're pregnant. Leave me a comment and let me know how you feel about these things too. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Were you gonna say bye? Say bye!